When you meet someone after the Shiva Linga has been there for 100 years or 200 years, and meet someone, and they say, "Oh, this Shiva Linga has been here since Lord Krishna's time." They always say, because after 200 years, who knows what? 200 could be 2,000 or 2 million or whatever. So that's generally the case. But according to Skanda Puran, in the Vaishnav Kand, in chapter 1, verse 4 through 6, it describes some of the work, the contribution that was done by Vajranav. Vajranav was the king of Mathura district, right after the time of Lord Krishna's disappearance, about 5,000 years ago. And he was, of course, ruling this area as a king, as a Kshatriya emperor. And this area, as you know, this is as Akbar, when Akbar was ruling here a few hundred years ago, in the 1570s or so, he gave this area of land, Vrindavan side, he called it Fakirabad. We have Ghaziabad and Faridabad. This is called Fakirabad. It means a bad fakir. Or a bad faker. They say in America, a faker. But fakir, a fakir is a tyagi, what we would say in Hindi, a tyagi, or vairagi. Vairagi. We want to become ragis. We want to become Raganuga Bhaktas. Rag means color, actually means color. We want to be colored with or dyed with attachment. Rag means attachment. So a vairagi is one who he's without attachment. He's a vairagi. We want to be ragis. We want to be Radha ragis and Krishna ragis. We want to be attached to Radha and Krishna. But tyagis, they have renounced, or they're renunciates, they're called fakir. So Akbar, he saw that the caliber of people that were living here, especially in Vrindavan at that time, 500 years ago, they were mostly fakirs, like six Goswamis. Akbar had met Jiva Goswami, and he had met the Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and he was very impressed with the renunciation of the Goswamis and their dedication, so much so that he immediately responded to Man Singh. Man Singh was one of the commanders of his army. He was from Jaipur. He was a Hindu, but he worked for Akbar. And Man Singh was a disciple of Raghunath Bhatta. And Raghunath Bhatta, of course, was one of the famous six Goswamis. Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyago Sri Jiva Gopalako. So Man Singh asked Akbar, he said, "Please, can you donate some stone to build a temple for Govindaji?" Some of this very high quality red sandstone, which is usually reserved for the mosques and the burial tombs of the royalty. This blood red sandstone, this very blood red stone, like you see Madan Mohan temple, the old Govindaji temple, which is so ornate and decorative. So he was very happy to donate that stone. So when Maharaj Parikshit was living here long ago, 5,000 years ago, there were so many fakirs here, so many rishis and vairagis and tyagis. Specifically Garga Muni was here, and also Shandilya Muni. Shandilya, he's a famous rishi, he was a bhakta. And as Narada Muni wrote Narada Bhakti Sutras, and Sandilya, I guess it's Shah, I suppose, or Sa. Sandilya Rishi, he wrote also a book called Bhakti Sutras, which is in English. Gaudiya Math from Madras, they released that book. I read that book some years ago. Very interesting discussion on bhakti, devotion. And he met Vajranav and he advised him. He said, "Listen, you should, since you come in this great dynasty, Chandravamsha of Krishna, Yadavas, you should, now you're in charge of this place, you should preserve all the sites of Krishna's pastimes, lilas talis, they're called lilas talis, so that they're not lost to antiquity. So then he engaged all of his resources and manpower under the guidance of great rishis like Shandilya Rishi and others, Durvasa, in uncovering the places of Krishna's Leela, his Janam Stan and his this Sarovar and that Sarovar and this lake and that lake. And then he's responsible for Radhakund and Shamakund and so many places. So it says that he discovered the pastime places of Govinda, the Gopas and the Gopis, one after another. He established many villages, and he constructed ponds, wells, and other public works, and he installed deities of Lord Shiva and others. He also installed the Krishna deities of Govinda Dev, Hari Dev, Keshava Dev, Dauji, etc. He thus spread the pure devotion for Krishna throughout his kingdom, which gave him great pleasure. So Bhadranath is accredited with establishing 4 deities of Shiva in the Braj area. So these deities are still existing to this day. You can take darshan. They're very powerful and famous deities. The Sri Bhuteshwar in Mathura, Gopishwar in Vrindavan, Chakaleshwar in Manasi Ganga near Govardhan, and Kameshwar in Kamyavan. So one of our devotees was telling us that some of the Brijvasis on this day, or on this evening, on this night, I guess starting at sunset or something, they walk for 84 kilometers. They do an 84-kilometer parikrama to visit all these Shiva deities. I mean, Brijvasi people, they're really, the devotee type, are really austere. And they're not Shaivites per se. Most of them are Radha Krishna Bhaktas. But they understand the position of Shiva as Vishnu Tattva and is so integral to Krishna's Leela and so important for getting free from false ego and actually getting free from what they call Purusha Abhiman. Purusha Abhiman means the thinking that I'm the enjoyer. This is what false ego is, thinking I'm the enjoyer. Purusha, in a term, it's called Purusha Abhiman. There's Prakriti Abhiman and Purusha Abhiman. So Prakriti means feminine or the enjoyed, the energy, and the energetic is the Purusha. So Purusha Abhiman is the mentality that oh, this is for me, or this looks good, I can enjoy it, I can have it, I can use it, I can exploit it. It's meant for me, and only me. So they do a rather rigorous parikrama today, 84 kilometers. And they begin with Gopishwar. They begin with Gopishwar by bathing in the Yamuna, or maybe Mansarovar, where Shiva bathed, or also Brahmakund, which he also bathed. They bathe in the Yamuna, then they worship Gopishwar, then they walk to Mathura, which is 10 kilometers. And they bathe in the Yamuna again at Vishramghat, very famous place. And they take darshan of Bhuteshwar. And then from there they walk to Govardhan, I suppose. And they take darshan at Manasi Ganga, they bathe in Manasi Ganga. And they take darshan of Chakaleshwar Mahadev. Then from there they walk to Dig and on to Kamyavan. It's about 42 kilometers. And then Dig they take bath in Bimalakund. So then they took darshan of Kameshwar. And from there they walked to Nandagaon, which is another 30 kilometers or so, 25. And they take bath in Pavan Sarovara. Then they walk up the top of the hill to Nandagaon, where Krishna Balaram temple is, and next to that temple is the deity of Nandishwar. And we'll hear the story of that deity. And then from Nandishwar, then they walk back to Vrindavan, which is another 20 kilometers. That's all done at night. So we're sitting here very comfortably and or sleeping very comfortably. And these devotees, they're out there walking all around Braj, enormous distances. So we can only pray that they'll sprinkle some of the dust of their feet on our heads.